Here we are today, we're flying out the J35D Draken, and this thing is a little bit weird. It's very good at a lot of things, but it suffers very much in certain scenarios. And this mostly comes into play because of the speed bleed this thing has. I don't advise you to go to altitude. If people tell you to go to altitude, it's actually a very bad idea because you will need a lot of speed to get rid of missiles. You probably won't be able to outrun them, you won't be able to outturn them at all. It's a very hot target. And then the second point is you don't have RWR. So if someone is locking you from 14 kilometers away with his aim 7E, you don't know it's gonna come, and until you hear it, if it comes from the head on, you won't be able to dodge it. So if someone tells you to stay at like 6 kilometers in this thing, I advise you to not listen to that. I've played about 25 to 30 games in this thing, got about 100 kills, and I'm gonna be showing you some regular gameplay today. I didn't really cherry pick this footage as much as I tried to show what the plane can do. So don't expect the most stellar gameplay, but what I'm trying to do is show you what you can expect and show you what to do in certain situations. Missling this dude, we're at pretty high altitude, 5 kilometers, he flares, he's not very fast and he won't be able to outpull the missile, and because he's spamming the flare so much, he kind of leaves a breadcrumb trail back to his engines. Flying over the Phantom here, trying to keep my separation up, so I turn away a little bit from him, don't want to turn too far, because if he then turns around for me, I will bleed a lot of speed and he will be able to catch me with a missile, which is something you don't want to happen. In general, even though this thing is very maneuverable and will be able to outturn and reverse most people in this game, you don't want people on your 6. And the reason for that is because if people get on your 6 and they try to air brake you or something, you basically lose all of your speed and you become a sitting duck. I thought the iffy was trying to dive back down on me, so I was preemptively turning back into him, but he didn't do it, and now I can extend away and outrun this Phantom. Well, outrun him in the long run because I am faster than him, but right now he is faster than me, and that missile will be able to catch me, so I need to kind of make a guess on when that missile is going to pull in, but if I don't turn at the very correct moment, just like that, that missile is going to hit you and you will blow up. I won't be able to outrun this Phantom if he keeps shooting missiles at me, because those missiles will catch me eventually. So what I want to do is get some separation in from the rest of the team, so I can actually work with this dude. Second missile coming in, and you really have to be careful, especially on maps like Afghanistan. You are at 2000 meters instead of 0 on the deck here. Missiles will be faster and they will pull more relatively to your plane on the deck. So you really want to be careful of that. And the other thing you really want to be careful of in this thing, 2v1s. If you get into 2v1 in this thing, 9 out of 10 times you will get slapped. And that's just because if you try to get your guns on anyone, you have to be aggressive in the 2v1. If they're both not turning in the same direction, right next to each other, where it becomes a 2v1 with, well, 1v1 with 2 planes next to each other. If they don't do that and they kind of alternate and they come back down on you, you will be too slow to even dodge a missile and you will just be dead. So you really want to avoid those 2v1s. You want to avoid people on your 6 when there's more than one guy around, because you will just lose that much energy that someone will be able to lob a missile from 2 to 3, sometimes even 4 kilometers away, and you will not be able to dodge it. Most of my deaths were just like that. Getting 4 slow, getting shoulder missile up your ass, getting 1v6, all that kind of stuff. Not gonna bore you with that. I say that a lot lately. But basically every death I got in this thing basically teaches you nothing. Except for the one I showed in the intro. That's basically all the deaths. I'm not going to show you that kind of stuff. Most of the time it's out of your control in this thing. The speed bleed is very excessive once you turn hard. What you can do is pop your air brake. It will to make you turn a lot less. And this in turn will make you bleed quote unquote less speed in the long run. You do have to keep in mind you pull less, but you also bleed relatively more speed. So it is more energy efficient to do a slight mouse turn than pop the air brake and pull fully. But that's up to you. I prefer not using the air brake. I haven't been able to rip it other than what you saw in the intro as well. I heard that a lot of people are ripping in it. I really didn't have a lot of trouble with that. Just be careful when you're on full fuel, because this thing will not be able to turn that well. And here what I'm doing is I'm dragging the Phantoms around. Razor is on the other side of the map, handling with someone else. I'm flying around their airfield now because Razor crit the other EJ, the Phantom EJ that's now RTB, kind of inviting him to land by going next to the airfield and him maybe thinking, maybe I can get a quick landing in. And if he does so, I will have a quick 1v1. Problem is, there's a lot of clouds here and I don't have RWR. And what this does is that I won't be able to tell if there's anyone near me, if anyone's locking me. Phantom's pre-flaring, good idea, but we're kind of too slow to do this right now. And again, he's just not be able to dodge it. He didn't turn his afterburner off. I lost a lot of speed in the process. Last guy was out of fuel, not gonna bore you with that. because well, the video is already kind of 20 minutes long and I don't want to fit into too much useless gameplay, as I feel it's a waste of time. You're here trying to get a good idea of the plane in, and me showing you kill some brainless people is going to teach you a lot. And here we're on the edge of the map, and I do this a lot on this plane because well, I don't want to get jumped at the start. I do not want to handle these 1v2, 1v3, 1v4 scenarios, especially with missiles around. So I'm on the edge of the map. So it's very safe to say that I can maybe get a missile lock in here. He probably won't even see it coming because I'm way below him, coming out of the clouds. And indeed he didn't. And that's an EJ out of the batch. An early missile dispenser like the EJ on E-Phantom is always very welcome. And now what I do is I just go right into the battle. So I waited for the initial engagement, and now I will be turning right in. Phantom flying over me, making sure that he won't be able to pull a shot in. He got very close there, but I also gave him a very thin profile shot, or side profile shot, and it was a very hard shot to hit. He could have hit it, luckily he didn't, and now I will be cruising around as you normally do in supersonics. And yes, I know this thing is hyper maneuverable, and I can show you some dogfights versus Phantoms and all that kind of stuff, and I will show you some dogfights versus Phantoms in this video, but in general you don't really want to use that maneuverability because it will just get you killed in the long run. Acceleration is alright, you can recover pretty fast, but that goes for every plane here, and if you're not going above 800 kph you will just not be able to dodge these missiles. And the other problem that I have is the guns. Yes, the ACANs or the DEFYN rip-offs or whatever, they are indeed in itself pretty good guns, but you have to keep in mind that these are wing mounted with 90 rounds per gun. They're not the fastest shells, they don't have the most amount of range, and all they have is some explosive mass, really. The Vulcan will beat this thing, well, in the gun department. A Vulcan will just be better for this BR. You're fighting extremely fast jets, and if you're on someone's tail at 700 meters, 750 meters roughly, you just won't be able to hit them. And that's not a very far range at this tier, and you basically have to use a missile when you're well into Vulcan gun range. So keep that in mind. I'm not really a fan of the guns. The missiles are great for M9Js. You have to research them though, and getting them is a little bit of a pain. Two Phantoms in front of me. Harrier's about to get slapped by a missile. Luckily it misses. Give him again that little profile shot. Pull out of his guns last moment. Very hard to determine with Phantoms, however, because a lot of the times the gun will not come out where the gun is actually pointing, making it very hard to dodge them, as the nose isn't actually pointing where the game shows it's pointing. Phantom coming in, I don't want to go head on with him. I have no reason to, I outperform him in most categories. The only problem is that I won't be able to out energy retention him. That's not a word, but you know what I'm saying. If they start on your 6 and they start air braking you, it's very hard for you to get rid of him, because he will force you so damn slow that a lot of the times you will be picked off by a second party. And that's again why you don't want people on your 6. And I'm really looking around here trying to make sure that I'm not getting jumped by someone else. Razor's keeping him busy in the F104S. Extremely fast plane, should be able to kite everyone around as I kind of force these 1v1s. And while this plane is very good on its own, and it can handle basically any 1v1, in a team fight I really don't like it. And that's just because you suffer so much from that speed bleed. Phantom tries to pull back in to use his energy. He's way too slow to do this. I got a shot in. Crit the E4 and E4 F4E. At this point it's basically cleaning up, as this guy is not very fast. He won't be doing a lot anymore. And here comes the second dude. And this game just was a bit of a best case scenario, as everyone tried to 1v1 me. But I also want to show you that you need to recover and be aware of your surroundings, because if you get jumped, you're going to get your ass handed to you. And that will be the next game that I will show you. FLC that wants to dogfight, not a very bright move on his end, because I'm in a Draken, and the FLC is one of the worst 10.7s in the game. But he has God of War, so I'm kind of thinking maybe he's baiting me for a teammate, so I want to be very aware here that I'm not getting jumped by someone else. And I'm keeping this turn horizontal for a very good reason, because if I go vertical I might get the stall, and I will be able to flip over faster, but by keeping it horizontal I have a very fast escape if someone manages to sneak up on me. Still, I'm way too slow to dodge anyone right now, but it's an FOC. I don't really have to think about beating him as long as I just keep turning, because an FOC is completely helpless versus this thing. Diving in between the buildings, FRE coming in, trying to stay as low to the ground as possible, trying to stay between the buildings, and I just pitch up. He's flying away. I lock him up, aim up, because I don't want to hit the building, and I just send a missile his way. He turned his afterburner off, he popped his flash, and he does a very sharp turn, and he dodged it. Very good. Razor then runs him down in his F104S, and we win the match. Yes, I'm trying to keep it as action-packed as possible, but also not cherry-picking too much. So I told you it was going to be a review. I'm kind of surprised though that so many people picked the Draken instead of the 2 carries that I had. But you know, you'll see those somewhere this week eventually anyway. MiG-21. Not sure which MiG-21 it is at the moment, and there's a second one right above me. And this is exactly what I meant with handling 2v1s in this thing. Can be very annoying and very hard. Looks like the other MiG-21 didn't actually spot me in time, so he's just flying over me. I'm breaking supersonic, not sure which one this is, hoping it's a PFM. And judging from the angle, the speed and everything, I was gonna guess it's a PFM. And luckily it was. That's mostly just a guesstimate. I'm not some kind of psychic. If only I was. Turning back into the PFM because I want to kill this guy as fast as I can. Because, well, he's bleeding all my speed right now. So I got on the 6, prime a missile. I'm not even gonna bother with the guns. Shoot a missile up, and I'm getting the hell out of here. Going straight back down to get my speed up, and there comes another MiG-21. Turn my afterburner off for a split second to think maybe I'm not as hot. I didn't want to risk it. I'm just gonna afterburn, get my speed up, cut under him, make sure that he won't be able to shoot the R60 off. And he gives me some time to actually get my speed back up. And if he had pressured me right there, if he had just turned after me, he would have killed me. I was going about 400 or 500, and he's in a MiG-21. And he's going very fast, and he could have easily just energy trapped me right there and then stall me out. The only problem, of course, is that it's kind of scary to do it versus a Draken, and I can completely understand that. Because this plane is one of those kites that if you get a little bit slow near it, and if you don't have enough energy, it will just rotate around its own axle and shove an A9J up your ass, and that's not enjoyable. So I know that people are very careful with this thing, but sometimes you just really have to pressure it. If you're in a team fight and you get on the Draken and you force it slow, it won't be able to do anything. And I will show you another example of that very soon here. But for this gameplay right now, I'm just zooming in and out. And yes, I'm extremely maneuverable, but I don't want to use it too much. Just notice that I'm doing these very gentle turns around the map. F104 appears behind me, which is not very, well, it's not something I wished for. He's very slow. Missile didn't actually lock him. He was going to pull into that. I didn't really pay any mind to him. Another MiG-21 on my 6. And I'm just playing it like every supersonic. You don't want to abuse your maneuverability in this thing. It will just get you killed. Sure, it will get you a very quick kill. And for the one kill mentality that a lot of people seem to have lately, it's extremely effective. But if you're actually trying to carry, if you're actually trying to win the match, then using your maneuverability a lot of the times will just get you killed. I'm starting to turn in here. F104 shouldn't be too much of a problem. Get out of his guns. He shouldn't have the missile to actually get rid of me here. Shoot some guns. It's a PFM. Great. Don't really have to worry about him. It's an F104 and a PFM. PFM is turning. Keep an eye on the F104 so it doesn't turn back into me. Shoot him out of the air. With a little bit of keyboard input. Razor got slapped by a missile that he didn't actually see. And he was looking at him. Stealth missiles are, by the way. Because they should totally be in the game. Ignore the first guy, he won't be able to turn around and actually get a shot on me. F104 coming head on with me. Do keep in mind that the F104 completely, well, outshines you in the head on. Very small profile from the front. It has that Vulcan, a lot more range, a lot more fire rate. And this thing just doesn't like damage. I've been damaged once without dying. And I got team killed 5 seconds later. So I didn't really experience much. But mostly every time I got hit by anything, I would die. Just pull into that missile just in time. Made it a very sharp turn for that R60. Didn't manage to pull in. Pulling back into the MiG-21 here. It's a bear, so I want him dead right now. Just shoot a little bit too high. Because I am kind of scared of ripping when I'm doing these quick snapshots. Another missile, just turn into it. And then again, the other MiG-21 just leaves me alone. If they had both 2v1 me right here, there would have been nothing I could have done. But I don't mind. I like surviving. That MiG is turning back in. I'm trying to keep my speed up. He's getting pressured by an FGR, so I'm gonna fly away from him for a little bit. Maybe come back if the FGR needs help. But for now, I'm going to let him 1v1 that FGR, so that I can 1v1 this guy. Unfortunately, so the other MiG-21 has a different idea, as the FGR just kind of runs away. And now I get both of them on my 6 again. Is it really a problem? No. Because I have more friendlies in the neighborhood. And these FGRs played it somewhat correctly. They were a little bit passive at times, and it didn't turn in as fast as I would like them to. But in the end, they stayed alive. They made it so that I could pressure the MiG-21s by them just being around and draining them of energy. And even though the FGRs are not doing a lot in terms of killing power, they are just running these guys out of energy. And that guy, the MiG-21 Biz there, got killed because of the FGR. Sure, he didn't, like, technically speaking, the FGR didn't kill him, but officially speaking, he did. Dodge the head-on again. Starting to turn around here. I just want to land at this point. If the effort is right there, shoot him out of the air, and I'm going to be landing. Other guy got strafed on the runway, and then we 1v3 the last F on the 4. I'm not going to bore you with that either. I'm going to go to the last gameplay. This one was a little bit of a clutch, but at the same time it doesn't really show the plane that well, but I figured I'd put it in here anyway. Because it's more footage. I know you guys like footage, and for some reason you really like seeing missiles slam into enemies. But it was a decent game nonetheless, so I'm gonna show it off as well. F1 just got crit by Razor, and then he misses him. Very unfortunate. And at this point my team is kind of falling apart, and there's a lot of E-Phantoms, and you can see that these guys really like flying right next to each other. So what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to see who is coming up for me, who is not. I don't want to bleed speed and I don't have to bleed. Guy gets team killed, very fortunate for me. F1 shoots a missile at me, nowhere near close enough. About 4 kilometers, I'm fast enough to get away from it. The moment that engine burns out, I'm going to be turning a little bit to bleed all of its speed. Because it's a very light object, it's not going to retain its speed very well, and there you see the little explosion of the AIM-9J. And that means that the missile exploded and then it won't be usable anymore. 84 on the bottom left right there, I'm not going to bother with him. He's not a threat. But do keep in mind that if you turn around too fast, that the AIM-9J, even though it's very slow, you might just turn back into it, which is something you don't want to do. F1 was crit, right there, hanging in the air, try to dodge the head-on, not gonna happen. Turning horizontally yet again, because that's what you want to do as most as possible. If someone jumps you, you still have some speed to suddenly pull your Draken turn and get rid of a missile, or out-turn a missile real quick. 2 guys going up. Won't be able to get the lock on him, so I go for the guy on the left, shoot the missile off. Actually missed that. I'm not sure how that missed. Probably flared it, probably turned his afterburner off, but I was really expecting it to hit. Doesn't matter though, because right now he's way too slow. Missile bug. So do not fire the missile unless you get the circle around the plane. If the missile is not around the plane and it kind of lags behind it, the missile will not track and you will waste it. And at this point, it's a matter of chasing this FRE down, killing an 84, and then it's basically game. And you will see that the Phantom, as you saw at the start of the game as well, or at the start of the video, that they are pretty annoying to fight, and there's multiple of them. The moment it becomes a 1v1, you absolutely clap them. They won't be able to do a lot. And I can show you a lot of this kind of gameplay where I'm just chasing down an FRE, where I kill it, and then what? Like anyone can do this. Anyone can run down an FRE and then kill it. So I don't want to bore you with that too much. But I'm gonna put it at the end of the video here because I just want to rant a little bit. And say that this plane, well yes, it's very good. It has some very big limitations, which is mostly just a team fight. And maybe when there's a lot of them, maybe then it can work. And it's one of those planes that's really annoying when there's only 1 or 2 in the team. But when there's a full team of them, it kind of becomes... it's not that good when it's just a full team of them. This thing, strength, is as a support fighter, believe it or not, or a 1v1er. So you can't really do this team game thing in it. Of course, when there's something like an F104, FGRs and all that kind of stuff in your team that can help you pressure people, and that can help you force people slow, then yes, it's a very good plane. And I think that a lot of people will enjoy this thing, but you do have to keep in mind that this thing is not forgiving. Yes, you will win about every 1v1. If you turn a little bit too soon, you will get clapped by a missile. If you turn a little bit too late, you will compress. If you turn too soon, when someone's on your 6, you give them a fat broadside shot, and you'll just be stalling out in this gun. Well, not effectively stalling out, but you will be going very, very slow. And you will be a very big target, as this thing is a massive wing. So I don't recommend doing that. But that's all up to you. And now it just will be 1v1ing the 84 at the end of the video. And this is why I put this one at the end. I know that the timestamps aren't actually working lately, which is kind of annoying, but I will try to include them anyway. 84 will stall out very soon here. Just well, it's a prop. So I'm not gonna bore you with that too much anymore. I'm gonna wrap the video up here. You'll see either the P38LO or the P47D 28. 1v5 carry for the P47 or an 8 kill carry in the P38. You can let me know in the comments which one you want to see. And no, missiles don't work at these ranges on 84s. He's gonna go head on. I'm not gonna take it, because I'm not gonna throw the game to a prop after killing half their enemy team. I hope you enjoyed it, hope it was helpful, and I'll see you all very soon again. I will leave the result screen at the end here, but I'm not gonna be talking anymore. So feel free to skip over there, and I'm tracking the rockets there. Have a good one everyone, and see you all very soon.